Good afternoon, teachers.
Hey.
Another PLC. We have several items in our agenda for today. We're gonna go over our power hour, our iReady, the tutorials plan we have, our data that we received for the ELAR benchmark.
Okay.
And we're going to go over DELPA's information that we need to talk about for the following week. And we're gonna talk about certain skills that we need to target in order to improve in our data. So based on our data, we had some students, let me click on it, sorry, that struggled. So we had some good points and in some areas we gotta show improvement. So I wanna explain to you the data and then we'll talk about the possibilities we can, or our changes we can do in our lessons as we are going.
Okay.
And share ideas throughout.
Got it.
Okay,
Sounds good.
so we have our EB students at a 42% showing growth, which is very good.
That's good.
Very good. And then the SPED have 44% showing growth. So that's also a good number of students growing. Overall, our students are at a 53% showing growth, which is half of our population of our SPEDs, or actually the whole student, our 565 students that we have here at Clark Middle School. All right, so I want us to talk over first on how you all noticed your students did in your ELAR benchmark. Did you all go over your data?
I did go over the data with Prissy. We were talking about like both of our our students, and I think we both felt that they were kind of weak in editing, text evidence, inferencing. So we were trying to come up with like different strategies, different things we could do in the classroom to see how we can improve that, obviously, so they can do better.
Okay, so
Next time
based on your DMAT reports, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was one skill that your students really, excelled in?
Oh gosh. Do you remember what they excelled in?
Was it inferencing? Was it main idea? What is one?
I
that
feel
you
like
think-
main idea they did improve. I mean, I wouldn't say like excel, but they did improve.
I think
quite
mine
a
did
bit.
better with main idea than with inferencing. They still struggle with the inferencing.
Yeah, I apologize because I didn't bring the numbers with me, but I did have a printout in the classroom.
Okay, so then do you remember in which is the teeth that they struggled the most based on your data?
The teeth that they struggled the most,
Or the skill that they actually needed more help in?
well, I would say the inferencing is the
Okay.
skill that they need the most help with. And it seems like that every single year. Every time I have a new class, it always seems like that's what they struggle with because they wanna look for the answer there in the passage, in the text, they wanna see it, and sometimes I tell them, you need to, I apologize, I forgot to turn it off. But I feel like, we need to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Just work with them with their higher order thinking and stuff like that. They just want everything, the way it is nowadays with the kids,
They just
'cause
want it there. They want to see it there. Yeah.
like just with
They
everything.
want it easy for it. Like they want it to
Yeah,
be easy, and
and
they don't
I
want to
think-
do the work.
No,
Just
and
put
I
in the
think a
time.
lot of the kids,
They don't
what's
wanna
wrong with our
think.
students,
They don't wanna think.
And really, I think we feel, or we have to model how to
Yes.
teach them how to actually
Definitely.
think, because they don't know how to do that overall, I think. As we look at our inferencing, is a lot of the thinking process
Right.
that they have.
Oh,
to
Yeah,
do.
their process,
So
their thought
how do you
process.
think, yes, so how do you think we can fix that? Like what solutions can we have, or what strategies do you think we can implement, so that we can show improvement?
I know I was speaking to Ms. Jimenez, the other day after we were looking at our data, that we need to we actually have to model for them, teach them how to summarize. The kids don't know how to summarize sometimes. So they need to look, I was actually writing notes when we were talking the other day, looking for those, even though they can find the main idea, they need to look at all the details of the text to help them come up with their answers. Also, I'm starting to encourage them to ask more questions in class. A lot of times they're just staring and you never know whether or not they understand what you're saying for sure,
Exactly.
right?
Okay,
Yeah.
and how do you plan to encourage them? What is something that you plan to use to encourage them to be a little bit more vocal? Or to, you know, start that discussion amongst themselves and with you all? What strategy do you think you can use to do that?
Well, maybe before the strategies, maybe just starting off by putting them in their groups and just having them ask each other questions, like not necessarily questions that aren't behind at the end of the passage, but just like, what's a question that you can ask her, and then what's a question you can ask her?
Maybe make connections, you know, to, connections with the text, connections with the real world, maybe just talking to their peers, making predictions about the text, see what they're gonna be reading, before they even read. I know that I started like pre-teaching, like what I try to do is go over the text ahead of time and try to, pre-teach some of the vocabulary I already know they're gonna have trouble with.
Oh, okay.
Because sometimes they're reading and I feel like they just don't understand what they're reading. And maybe that's why they can't make those connections and come up with
I
those
agree,
answers.
especially for our EV babies that
Oh,
struggle with the
yes.
language.
Okay.
Yes.
So then, let's talk about, now that we know some of our teachers that we're struggling, that our students are struggling with, I want you to all come up with a plan. What strategies or what skill are we going to use, or what kind of activities are we planning to do for our power hour? Because remember the power hour, our students are going to go with different teachers, but we are still responsible in giving that teacher or explaining to that teacher, this is exactly the strategies I want my student to work on, you know, before, so we can implement it throughout, and maybe that can help them reinforce that skill that they're not, that they're struggling with. So, for the following week, when you come back, I want you to have a list of different activities or strategies that we can implement during our power hour. Okay?
Mhm.
And then I want us to also think about readjusting our tutorials. Because our tutorials, I mean, maybe some students don't need it anymore and we need to shuffle them up again. And so we're gonna go over the tutorial list and make sure that some of our students who have that, based on our data, they've already, and does that mean that we're gonna completely forget about those students?
No,
No.
not at
I
all.
mean,
What is
we
it that?
want them all to show growth, obviously. And some of this, I know that sometimes we forget about the kids that always do well, and they, you know, because we know, oh, they're gonna pass, we think they're gonna
Right.
pass, but we know that they have to show growth. And honestly, I don't wanna be a targeted school, and I think
Right.
we're gonna be headed that way if we don't improve
Yes,
our
our
scores,
growth, yes.
our growth. And I know it's good to work with other teachers and, stuff like that, even during power hour, but I think we need to choose teachers that have a little bit of experience teaching the content. Like, so if we're gonna have other teachers help us, they need to know a little bit, or at least give us a chance to meet with them ahead of time to kind of like guide them and tell them, we can't give them something they've never had experience with, cause they're not gonna help the students, they're just gonna give it to them and say, fill out this handout, or work on
Busy
these
work, yeah.
cards, or, so we
Yes.
actually need to sit with them and come up with something. Even when they, you know, with math as well, I know they were saying like, you know, yeah, we can give it to another content area, but if we don't actually sit and teach,
And
show
yes.
them, they're not gonna really know, and I don't feel like it's gonna help the students.
I agree, that's a very good point. So what we can also try to do is maybe when the other teachers come together with their PLC, maybe you all can come in for the first 10-15 minutes and do a quick review of what you expect. To see them do with y'all students when they're teaching.
We can
your
have a
content.
step-by-step, like guide, like maybe
Right.
just something that they, like a script.
I think that's good too,
Just
so
they
there's
can
no
say-
wasted time.
And even provide, I know that one of our teachers here, one of our math teachers actually provides like all of the notes for the students to kind of like remind them. So that could be something like little clues, little something that we can pass out, they can pass out to the students to have.
Oh, I like that, yeah, so
Yeah.
maybe we can follow that same strategy that math does in our ER department.
Yeah, maybe, something like that.
I agree.
Sounds good. Okay, so power hour, we're gonna go over it. You make sure you come, with your list, and of strategies or activities that they can do. And tutorials, make sure you go over the students and see if we can swap some, or if you're gonna keep the same ones, so we need a new tutorial list. And, I also want you to know that during tutorials, we're going to ask for the kids that are staying for tutorials to first be released into the cafeteria to pick up their dinner, and then tutorial teachers will go pick them up in the cafeteria. I, like that, we make sure that those
Yeah.
kids are staying behind, because I feel like they're not staying because they're leaving with, and we lose them.
And they go outside and then they're trying to come back in, but it's 10 minutes past, so
Yes.
they're wasting time.
Do you
I
feel
agree.
like, I know we shouldn't always reward them, but I feel like we should, the kids that are coming more often, I know, yes, we feed them food from the cafeteria or whatever, but I feel like sometimes, like if we say like, oh, if you've been coming to tutorials for so many days or
Yes.
several weeks, and we're gonna give you ice cream or
Like an incentive.
like an incentive
Yeah,
to kind
that's-
of
that's
motivate
Look
them.
forward to, yeah.
To something to look forward to and
Yes, I'll
get
write
them
that-
excited about coming.
Okay, I'll write that down in my note to make sure that we have like an incentive for tutorials.
Yeah, I think so.
And, so then I also wanna talk to you about, so make sure that you, about the iReady, cause we're also gonna focus on iReady. iReady is that program that helps our students, close the gap, in
Yes.
their ELAR and in their math. So we're going to also have an iReady incentive for them. And that is, they have to do a total of 7 passing lessons,
Okay.
within the month. And if they do, they're able to, we're gonna give them either something that they like, a food that they like during their
Okay.
lunchtime. Okay, so that's another thing, I want you to make sure that you keep tabs on whether they're completing their lessons or not.
I mean, every Friday, after our mini assessment, I do have them work on the iReady, just so they can, complete the lessons.
Okay.
And then maybe in the cafeteria, we can even have like an iReady wall that shows like not the kids that haven't met it, but the kids that have met it, so that way they take pride, my name is on the screen, my name
Yeah,
is up
that's a
there
good
for everyone
idea.
to see.
Yeah.
And so it pushes them to work
I
for
like
it.
that
Or if
idea.
I'm not on there, but all my friends are, well, now I wanna get on there too, because you all are gonna get an incentive and I'm not, so maybe it'll push them
Oh, I like that idea.
to try
Yes.
harder.
Yeah, that is a good idea.
So that's another way we can encourage them to continue working on that program. So I'm gonna give you a few minutes to look over your data
Okay.
and talk to each other about how we can improve certain things. So let's just look at it for a couple of minutes, and then we'll come back together to, talk about what we feel we can change, a little bit so that we can improve.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Do you ever feel like maybe we could, swap students, like on certain days? I was thinking that, if we feel like we've already taught the skill like several times, and we have certain students that are still not getting it, maybe like we can say like every Tuesday or something, maybe we can swap some of our students, and maybe you might teach it a different way, maybe they'll pick up the skill or
I think
vice
that would be
versa.
good, yeah.
Just to kinda help us, and we can, do that for our
Mhm.
weakest areas, which are our inferencing, editing, looking for that text evidence. That could be something
I think
that
that
we
would be
could
good.
do, and then we can also work together to try to come up with different, activities, even maybe, I wonder if they would give us an opportunity, do you think they would give us an opportunity to go and someone cover our class so we can, visit each other, or even
Oh,
some of
that's
the
a good
other,
idea.
some
To
of the other
encourage them.
great, especially cause since we're getting closer to the star and we wanna see like, okay, is there something that maybe we're not doing that we should be doing, maybe they're doing something, cause sometimes I feel like I think I'm teaching it correctly, because some of the kids get it, but maybe they already know it, so
Yes.
if they
And
already.
not that you're not teaching it correctly, but maybe your approach is targeted to the way she learns, but not the way I learn. Or maybe
Right,
it needs to be more
right.
hands-on, or maybe, just a different style, so that way we can get all types of learners, not just, the ones that are good at just listening and picking
I
it
like
up.
that, I like that idea. We can set up definitely a schedule to see, where you all can visit each other's colleagues and see, and especially if you already know there's a teacher, I've been wanting to see this teacher and do this specific skill, and maybe we can tell that teacher, can you do this specific skill? So I can watch you and see how you do it, see if you
Right.
can,
Yeah.
come together and maybe you learn something from her and you get those ideas, from another person, I like that.
I mean,
So-
I did look over some of the data also in my class, but I feel like I need to be a little more specific because, you know, there's certain kids that just aren't getting like a lot more than just, you know, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like when we do our checkpoints or our benchmarks, they don't try their best. I mean, I hate to say that, but I feel like sometimes they know it's not the real star, and I feel
Right.
like sometimes on the real star they perform better, but we never know. It can't be like
Yes, we can't just take
like
that.
like a guessing game, like are they or
So then how
aren't
do you
they?
think we should motivate them though to stay focused
Right,
and
I
actually
feel-
do it the right way, or actually take it serious when we take a benchmark, or even those like weekly tests that you guys have? How can we motivate them to really focus on the days of testing?
Yeah.
How
What
do
if
you-
we make it a competition like in the campus and not show like, oh, in Miss Jimenez's class, this student and this student scored this, but maybe like, okay, the percentage of your class passing or not passing but showing growth is this much, and my class is this much, so Miss Jimenez's class, they're beating you, or, you know, just trying to make it like a friendly competition without pinpointing student
Oh,
names,
that- I
but
like
just
that.
like each teacher, like in the multi-purpose room, having a board with each teacher's name and by subject, and then just showing like a little scale of where everybody falls, and so
Yeah,
that
you
way
know,
kids can
teachers
see
are
it.
gonna really push their kids. I know that in the past I've had like little, I guess you know how when they have pre-conferences with us, before our evaluations, but kind of like, call in the students and have those pre-conferences, but just say, I kind of try to motivate them, like, oh my gosh, like, look at how well you did here, like, tell me what, you know, what you're having trouble with, why is it that
Right.
you feel like you got this, you know,
Mhm.
question wrong, whatever, and just try to like, give them, and like, oh my gosh, if we pass, you know, I don't know, I just give them like a little positive
Like a
pep
pep talk.
talk, and I feel like we're always drilling them, we're gonna test,
Yeah.
and they get burned out, and I just wanna try to find, maybe come up with something, you know, to motivate them, to get them excited. I mean, friendly competition doesn't
Yeah.
hurt, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good idea too, and not just with our kids that are struggling, but maybe even with the ones that are meets that have never gotten that masters, but we focus on just the babies that are struggling, that we forget about them, and maybe they need that little push, and it can get them from meets to masters, and you know.
I like that. So then, that's a good point, because we're always worried about the struggling
Right.
students and the
Mhm.
EBs, and
Mhm.
how can we, you know, and we have all these ideas and strategies that we come up with, all the time, but how can we have those kids that are at meets show that growth and bump them up into masters? How do you feel, or what activities do you think we should, do in our classrooms?
Like
in order
actual,
for us-
like, activities.
so
yeah.
that we can actually
Right.
bump them up, because that's also, some kids are at meets, but if we don't keep pushing them and they fall back down to approaches, and that's gonna show regression on our end, and we don't
Mhm.
really wanna have that when it comes to
Yeah.
those kids, and we also wanna keep them up there, or those masters kids, like that one
Right.
student that scored 100 in 6th grade, and then he comes to 7th grade,
Right.
we have to maintain him at that level.
Yeah.
How do we do that? Like, what is it you as teachers do in the classroom to keep that higher order thinking going on in the classroom? Is that?
I think, and maybe this is a little elementary for some people, but I think maybe one day should be
Sorry.
designated for like small groups and a rotation, and so that day the teacher can focus on the high and challenge them based on what they need, and then just have the other groups working independently, and just with a little timer. I know that 55 minutes is just a little block, but just switch and switch and switch, and each one will have self-check centers, so that way they can check what they have, but I get to work with my 5 kids at a time, or however many kids at a time, and we're not forgetting about one group specifically.
Yes, I
So
like that.
for some it
That's
might be
good.
like childish, I mean like elementary, but
No, but I
we
think
still
they like
should.
that, they like
Yeah,
that,
coming to a
even,
group with a teacher
yeah,
and having that time, because sometimes if I'm quiet and I'm shy, well, I'm not gonna speak up even though I need help, and you're not gonna know because I'm quiet. But if you have me in that group, well, that's your chance to focus on me and say, okay, what do you understand from this, and then we can see more where they're struggling, or what they get or what they don't get.
Yes, and you also get an opportunity to build those relationships with them
Definitely,
when you
yeah.
work with them in a smaller group,
Mhm.
rather than you You know, and I'm just saying overall, sometimes they ask us information about a particular student and we really don't know that
Right.
person, that student, you know? So I think that also gives you, when you work in a small group, that opportunity to build those relationships with those students, get to really know and have that simple conversation
Right.
of them telling you, what are you struggling with? Tell me, it's okay,
Mhm.
you know, I'm here to help you.
Right.
I think if you build that with them, they'll be a little more open to it and they'll feel comfortable enough to share what they struggle with.
It's always the quiet ones that don't speak up. Sometimes I feel, yes,
Yeah.
like, you kind of feel like, oh, they get it, they don't ask questions and stuff like that, so that's a good idea. That's a
And it'll be
yeah.
exhausting, but it'll be worth it in the end because we'll get to target all of them, not just one specific level.
Yes.
Mhm.
And here in the middle school, I know that in the elementaries, they do a lot of those rotations,
Mhm.
but it's really hard in the middle schools to change that mindset that it's only
Yes.
55
Yeah.
minutes.
Uh-huh.
That's all we have. So once we try it and we
Mhm.
try to switch that mindset that it's only 55 minutes and we see how it could actually be it can empower,
Right.
you know, the students when you have those rotations.
And they're forced to be independent because the teacher's busy with another group.
Exactly.
And even though it's only 55 minutes, I mean, the same applies in elementary when a math class is only 55 minutes because
Yes.
you have the next subject to teach. So I think if they can do it, we should be able to also.
That's something that we surely need to implement.
I feel like, remember that training we got at the beginning of the year, what was her name, that, she came and spoke to us
Oh,
about,
from-
just with the routines, and I feel like some of the things I've been implementing has saved me a lot of time with, or like, we're not wasting time, so, yeah, we only have 55 minutes, but it can be done. They already know, you know, the
Once they're
routine.
trained,
Yeah,
once they're trained, it's gonna
so
flow.
they come into class and just like that, like they already know we're gonna get started, I already know I have my seating chart, so I call roll, like I don't have to call their name, you know,
Mhm.
it saves a lot of time, they already know to get started with the
All the
problem of the
materials
day.
are in the middle of the table.
Everything's there,
Yeah,
so-
I agree.
It won't take long to train them, like, okay,
Right.
now for the next few weeks, we're gonna be going to our different
Mhm.
stations, and so
Right.
that could be something
So
we
then-
can plan out together, you know, but.
I like that.
Mhm.
So then maybe, or no, not maybe, but we should, look into that. Cause maybe we can even do those kind of rotations even during tutorials.
Oh, I agree,
You
yes.
know, even power hour.
Mhm.
A lot of those rotations can be implemented also and they only just see it like in your, let's say you don't get to do it because your time is just, well, we have power hour. And in that power hour, they can do those rotations with the other teacher that's gonna supposed to give you that support. And, or also tutorials, that could be your extended time to whatever lesson you had.
Do you think that, our principal will let us, I know we didn't do it last year, but we have done it in the past where we have like our own little reading, like a little carnival or something where we pull them out and we can all bring in our strongest, like, I guess, you know,
Your
assets or whatever,
Mhm.
and each of us teach different skills based on, you know, what we're the strongest, but make it fun for the kids.
Yes, I
Like
can-
with a
yeah.
game or
Definitely
something.
bring that up to Ms. Gomez and then talk to her about it and we can maybe come up with a plan.
Yeah.
I know that in some other campuses, I know that they've done it after school.
Mhm.
And
Oh, yeah.
and I think you guys have
We
done
have
it
done,
before.
yeah, like an extended day
Yes.
too, where they go from class to class.
Mhm.
Like a
Or in
Fantastic
the-
Friday.
Yes,
yeah.
and I've heard also that parents are invited in some schools,
Oh,
so they
that's
bring
nice.
it.
That's nice because sometimes parents call us and say, I don't know how to do it, so how am I supposed to
Yes.
help them? So it would be nice for them to even see the lesson, not the lesson, but you know, the
How
breakdown of
we
how to
actually-
solve
I
a
think
problem.
also with
or
the
what to look
language
for.
barrier, a lot of our students
Yeah.
don't speak the language, so we might send home homework and they really don't know, you know,
Yeah.
if they're struggling, how to help them. So maybe we can kind of explain or just tell
What
them
to look for,
what to
yeah.
look for and stuff like that.
A lot of great ideas, I like that.
Mhm.
So, how many more minutes before we,
We will switch, our blocks change in 8 minutes.
in 8 minutes?
Okay. I saw that you were talking about, the poetry versus,
Oh,
we're
yes.
gonna go over the poetry.
The poetry is, 6th grade is targeting poetry this week, that's correct, am I right? And then 7th grade is targeting drama, and then 8th grade is gonna target information.
Yeah.
So everybody's on a different skill
Yes,
or
right,
genre.
right, yeah.
You know,
Okay.
so, I wanted to go over that just so that we can know that, cause remember that our, it should be aligned, you know, remember that the skills, these kids have already seen it since like
Right, yeah.
elementary,
Right.
it's not something new. So I want us to start
Mhm.
looking into, what is it, when we are planning alignment?
Vertical alignment.
Vertical alignment.
Yes,
couldn't
yes,
think of- I
yeah.
knew it was
Yes.
alignment, but you know,
Yes.
vertical
Yes.
alignment, so we wanna make sure like, okay, this is how I'm teaching
Right.
poetry, how are you teaching it?
Right.
You know, maybe, come together in the next PLC and say, okay, this is how I'm teaching,
Yeah.
how I'm teaching poetry, this is a strategy that really works for
Mhm.
me, how are you doing it?
Right.
And vice versa, you all learn from each other. I think if we're on the same page throughout and teaching what skills that are actually working with in certain classrooms, then I think our kids will eventually
Yeah.
excel. And we
Right.
don't have to like teach sixth grade, then they go to seventh,
It's
and we
totally different,
retrain,
yeah.
we retrain them and we erase
Right.
what, like instead, we are,
Yeah.
like all of the grade levels are aligned.
Mm-hmm.
So we do I do wanna come together in the next PLC also and come together and so we can do vertical,
That's super
planning.
helpful, and at the campus I was at before, that's something we would do at the beginning of the year. We would go with the grade below us and the grade above us, and so we would tell the grade below us, okay, at the end of the year, this is where we want them in this skill and this
Yes.
skill, and this is what we're gonna do and expect. And then we would go to the grade above us and they would tell us, like, okay, this is what I need from you, this is where I
Yes.
need you to get them. So then that way, when they get there, our babies are not overwhelmed, because if they're overwhelmed, then they're not gonna
yes,
be
they shut
successful.
down, yeah, and they'll struggle from
Mhm.
there on. Yeah, we had the same conversation when I was teaching. The second grade teacher, I would tell her, focus on fluency.
Right,
That's
that's
all I need you,
yes.
fluency, I'll work
Anything
on
more is-
comprehension.
Extra, yeah.
Yes, and then like that, I mean, the kids
Yeah.
would just, you know.
It makes a difference.
So it does, so I think the next time when we come together in our PLC, we'll talk about vertical, planning
Mhm.
vertical,
Yeah,
vertically.
yeah, like so
Uh-huh.
we can,
All
I
be
also
on the
feel
same-
we can also do like cross curricular, I know, but I know the social studies department is always willing to help us.
Yes.
Like they have a lot of passages.
Even
and-
science, there's a lot
Yes.
of good passages that help
Uh-huh.
with the skills that we're covering.
Right.
But they're still learning their topic, their skills, their objectives.
Yes.
Like in general, like maybe
Right.
not
I like
specifically
that
towards
too.
poetry, but maybe we can ask them for
So
help.
that's informational
bit.
text that those
Right.
would get, you know, through
Yeah.
science and social studies.
Which is very
Yeah,
helpful.
So that could
And
also.
I think that's one of the hard skills for our kids too, the informational text, where sometimes it's harder for them to pick up on, I
Remembering
guess.
all that.
But if they're hearing it in
Yes,
two
yeah.
classes, then, you know,
It's
it
easier
makes
for
a
them
difference.
to make that connection
Mhm.
overall. Yes, okay, let me see, so let me go over the Delpas
Okay.
information, cause next week we are testing Delpas. Let me see if I can't click, I don't know, that one doesn't click from there. Okay, let me see. Here. So we're going to start with the reading on Monday, and everybody's gonna be testing at the gym. So we'll
Okay.
have 6th and 7th grade testing at the gym. And, Ms. Jimenez, you'll have a group there at the gym, certain tables will be labeled to your name, and then Ms. Lopez will also have another group
Okay.
labeled, with tables with your name.
Okay.
And then,
They'll be eating breakfast in their class and
in the classrooms, and we're gonna call them out to report to the gym, and they'll be taking their Delpas reading
Got
test.
it.
Then we have other 3 teachers that will be in the hallways with the 8th graders. So you two, and 2 other professionals will be with our 6th and 7th graders in the gym. And then in 8th grade, we'll have our 3 teachers in one particular hallway with 8th graders.
Okay.
Okay,
Perfect.
and then, for lunch, we're going to not, release them until 12. Once they're done with their testing, you can let them go.
Okay.
They go back to their classrooms and follow their regular schedule.
Okay.
But if 12 comes and they're still testing, that's the time we're going to walk them to the cafeteria, and have their lunch, make sure that they're all quiet and they don't, talk about anything during their lunchtime, and then bring them back, and they'll continue testing after that.
Okay.
Okay, and then that's for the reading part. And then on the 3rd, which is Tuesday, we will do the listening and speaking. And the listening and speaking, I know that.
I think we're just proctoring.
Yes, you're gonna be
Monitoring.
helping in the hallways, making
Mhm.
sure that the kids are a little quiet so there'll be other 5 teachers doing
Am I
that.
gonna be in the library?
I think you're monitoring.
Yes,
Oh,
you're,
I thought I was in the library.
actually, I don't know if you're
thought I
That's a
saw.
day off, you got
Why?
a day off.
Oh, yeah, because you're gonna be doing it the next 2 days, I think.
Oh, okay.
There you
Yes.
go.
So Wednesday and Thursday,
Okay.
so you'll have this day off to do your things. And then Wednesday and Thursday.
Thank you. Nah, thank you, I'm just kidding.
You're welcome.
Of course, I can
My
be,
pleasure.
I
You
can
can help
be,
us with
I
your
can be
your-
with my
your day on Friday
students.
too, so
I
that's gonna
have,
be a
well,
very busy week. So
I don't wanna
we-
leave my kids, you know, alone
Too long.
with a sub too,
Oh, yeah, they
for
won't,
too
yeah,
many days.
because stars around the corner.
It's true.
We have very few days of instructional time,
I know.
ladies.
Crunch time.
I really appreciate all the hard effort you all put into your students and your profession. I wanna say thank you from the bottom of my heart and continue working hard because that, whatever your students, it's gonna come back one day and they're gonna be like,
Yes.
thank you, teacher, thank you for
I-
helping me this.
And we wanna thank you because I know you visited our classroom and you modeled, remember when she came in
Yes.
to model the
Oh.
Those were
the
good lessons,
passage,
very good.
and it really, it, you know, kinda changed or gave me
Yeah.
a little idea.
We get to see things
I
that
can-
maybe we don't do.
Yeah, changed
that
it
work.
up a little and the kids really enjoyed it.
Yes.
Oh,
You
thank
got
you.
they actually asked me, like, is she gonna come visit us again?
Well, anytime. I still miss teaching, so I wouldn't mind ever going to teach a lesson if you ever feel like
Come
you
on
wanna
in,
see.
girl.
So, how many minutes do we
The
have?
bell will ring in 48 seconds, girl.
In 48
Oh,
Yeah.
seconds. Okay, so I'll let
let's
you all
start. Clean it
go,
up.
ladies. Thank you very much.
Thank you, girl.
Make sure you bring your information next PLC, your tutorial rosters, your power hour groups, and see what kind of activities we're gonna have.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Mhm.
So I'll see you, ladies, and
Thank
thank you very
you.
much.
Thank